Hey, what's up, everyone? This is David Greenspan, and you are listening to Season 2 of the MindShare PodCast, a proud member of the Industry Syndicate Media Network. Additional podcasts are available at mindshare101.com and on all the major podcast platforms. This week's episode is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems. This is episode 78. You know that idea about renting the ice cream truck and handing out free ice cream at the local parks in your farm area so that people can get to know you, the neighborhood realtor? This guy does it. You know that idea about calling 100 houses a day, 5 days a week that everyone hates, but when done right, people who do it get business from it? This guy does it. You know the idea of using video and leveraging social media for your marketing? This guy does it. With almost a decade of experience in this real estate game, he has earned the Remax Accolades and the Remax Platinum Agent awards. And he knows what it takes, doing the hard work that most people don't do to actually get the opportunity, to have an opportunity to get a listing and earn a new client. Focused on building relationships is where he finds his success. Joining me on the MindShare podcast is a longtime friend of mine, Jordan Glaser. Jordan, my man, welcome to the show.
What's happening, Dave? Thanks so much for having me. I've never had an introduction like that before.
Oh, man, you've earned it, bro. I think it's awesome. I love what you're up to, man. I've told you that many times before. I think it's absolutely amazing. And that was a big draw for me of like, you're a good guy. You're part of my hockey team. So that's, there's that whole side of things. But, from a business standpoint, I think that there's a lot of strategy that you implement on a regular basis that I've told you before off air. I think it's absolutely amazing, man. I give you a ton of props for it. And I don't say that just because you're my friend, which I've also told you this before. But you are truly doing the stuff that, I like to preach to people to do, that we've been hearing from trainers and coaches for many, many years that people should be doing. Some people, think it's a slug to do some of this stuff. Other people try to, take the easy road out and cop out and spend a bunch of money doing things. And I really, truly believe that the way you go about it is the way it's supposed to be done. Because what I love about it, and this is a big premise around the whole idea of like MindShare 101, right? Is that mix of the old school with the new school, bringing it together and really putting the tactics and the strategies together to ultimately get more business out of it. And again, it's impressive that you don't cop out and look for just how can I spend money to do this, but you're actually putting in the effort. So I'm curious to know, almost a decade in the biz, maybe you can remember, maybe you can't, like, where did your first deal, the first deal, where did that come from?
The first deal, actually, funny enough, I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember my first, day of being in real estate full time and working and everything. And funny enough, my first deal came from a past client from my previous life. When I got into the business, I got in touch with, people that I used to do business with and my contacts and network and stuff. And I had an old client who had a couple of properties that she bought as an investment that weren't turning out to be such good investments for her. And she needed to sell them. So it actually turned out in the first month, she had two condo properties she had bought that weren't doing well that, kind of kicked me off. So it was a good start. But I wish they were all that like that. Right?
I was gonna say she just put her trust in you just like that. Like it's just that simple.
We had been doing business for probably close to 10 years already.
In a previous biz.
In a previous business, nothing to do with real estate, in a marketing kind of business, and we had a great relationship. She trusted me. She knew who I was, and what I kind of stood for and what I did. So yeah, she said, the guys that I trusted before got me into this, but I need someone to get me out of it. So she gave me a shot and, never looked back from there. I actually just sold another property for her 2 months ago.
I was going to ask, so you do the deal with her. What did you do once you did that deal with her? And I know, where that question comes from when I ask it, right? What was that process after the fact? Like you've got the first deal, you got your first client, like, oh my God, I made some money. I can do this real estate thing. What did you do with that person, that contact record? Like, what was the next step of that?
Well, she's been in my contact in my contact list since then for, almost 10 years now. And we speak 3 or 4 times a year. I sent her a gift card for Starbucks 2 weeks ago on Mother's Day. We get together every summer. We go for coffee. She lives by Yorkville. We go to Yorkville for coffee every summer. And, keeping up to her with the emails, with, I send the kits mailers every month to her to keep in touch, keep my face in front, like I do with most of the people on that database. So I just kept in touch, and it's not a business relationship. It's a friendship relationship. So it's just a matter that we chat every once in a while and, keep in touch.
Which is the key, right? And I mean, that's what we talk about is really, what are we doing to get out there and stay in touch with people? And actually, it just hit me. I remember about 9 weeks ago, we were on a broadcast that you had started, and I had made a comment of, pick up the phone and call people. And there was one guy, and I can still see him in my head, that like sat back and went, not happening. Like, I am not calling people. I am not calling to talk real estate. And it's like, I went, whoa, who said to call and talk real estate?
Right.
Right. And like, we changed gears there. So, I mean, when you're making your phone calls and you're, staying in touch with people, what are you doing about the phone call? What are you doing? What are you saying to people? How are you mustering up the nerve to kind of go, okay, I'm going to pick up this phone. I'm going to say hi to David, and I'm not going to have any intention of selling anything to him. But instead, my goal is just to say hi.
Well, it's funny. I would say my answer to that today is different than what my answer would have been to that 5 or 7 years ago.
Okay, take me to 5-7 years ago, because I do want to ask you about the evolution of where you've gone.
So, right? 5 or 7 or 8 years ago, whatever it is, if you told me to pick up the phone and call my past clients or I didn't have many past clients then, but sphere of influence, family, friends, whatever it is, I would have said, no way, I can't do that.
Why?
Do that. And when we start in the business, when I started in the business, I was told, here's what you've got to do. You've got to take your wedding list or your family and friends list, whatever it is, and you got to write it all down and get in touch with everybody. And then on the other side, you've got to pick up the phone and you've got to just start calling people, right? The kind of cold method.
Yeah.
And I said, no problem. I'll pick up the phone and call as many people that I don't know as I can. There's no way I'm calling the other list.
So the focus was more on actually calling strangers than it was on calling people you knew.
I could call strangers all day long. The thought of calling people I knew made me cringe.
Okay, why though? What is it about that? Because and I want to dig into that one further too, because I know what you do there with that stuff. What is it about calling people you know that's so scary?
I don't know what it was. I think it was I didn't like to, whether it was I didn't like to call people and ask people for business, or think that I was calling to ask them for business, or trying to get something from them or gain. It was something like that in my head. It was a limiting belief that I had. It was kind of stopping me from doing that. And I'll say, like, for the first, I would say at least couple of years in the business, I didn't really do a lot of that.
Right.
My business started out solely coming from cold calling and cold prospecting, and evolved. I could say now that we've done a lot of talking, and I've gone through the MindShare program, and I've done a lot of rethinking in my head. And my answer to that, if we talk about it today, is exactly like you said, is I'm not calling people, asking people for business, or trying to find business, or really doing anything with real estate. It's just a matter of calling and keeping in touch with people. And I think in the last 8 weeks or 10 weeks, however long we've all been stuck in our houses, that idea has come even stronger.
Okay, so what kind of people have you been saying, what kind of things have you been saying to people then in these past 8 or 9 weeks? I'm curious.
In the past 8 or 9 weeks, I've been calling all of my past clients.
Yeah.
I've still been cold calling. And it's all calling.
So you're doing both.
I'm doing both.
Right.
And I'm calling people and I'm just asking, how are you? What do you need? Is there anything I can do to help? That's it.
And how are people responding to that? Or how did people respond to that?
Amazing. I think this is such an interesting time that we're in, because we're all stuck in the same position together, and we're all at home. We've all got time. People are happy to talk to people other than their husbands or their wives or their kids that they're stuck with all day long.
Ain't that the truth?
So to call and have a friendly conversation. If I call, hey Dave, what's going on? How are you? Things are good. How are the kids? You know, what are you guys doing? What are you keeping busy with? Cool. Eventually, it always turns into a little bit of real estate talk.
Right.
10 out of 10 times. But it's not the reason why I'm calling people right now.
Okay, so then if it's not the reason right now, from 5, 7 years ago, could you have probably just implemented the same mentality and just done it, but it was just kind of that getting over the barrier to understand that that's all you're doing?
Yeah, I
Because
think
that's
that
it.
was what I had stuck in my head was that I'm calling, trying to get business from people. I'm not just calling to keep in touch with people. And I think that was the shift that I had in my thought path that took me from being worried or scared or whatever it is of calling that group of people to saying, I'm just calling to say hi. I'm calling to connect. If I know somebody that offers a service that you need, let me see if I can connect you with it. I had a buddy who called me the other day. He needed a plumber, and I texted him the number of a plumber that I know.
I will say that that's what you talk. I mean, that's part of the definition of mindshare is the fact that now people are going like, "Hey, George, do you have a guy like or a, a girl? Do you have a hookup for a plumber, a painter, or whatever?"
And that's what it comes from. It's exactly that whole concept is being on top of mind, building the mind share that people, when they think of something, if it's with their house or real estate or moving or whatever it is, my name pops up.
And there's the beauty of leveraging the database. And then you said that you also do a ton of cold calling.
Yes.
And you've been doing that now. I mean, when we go back to 7 years ago ish, 8 years ago, whatever, when you start getting the first deal and it's like, okay, where do I get another deal? Did you start right away with cold calling back then?
It was the first thing that I did. When I first got my license, I went in to the head office at Realtor and I sat down with the owner and I said, like, what do I do?
Yep.
And he said, get a phone number, list of phone numbers, pick up the phone and call 100 people a day.
So we've got this whole do not call list.
Yep.
But you operate obviously right within the confines of that. So it's still totally possible to make these calls. It's not like
yeah, we've got, now with technology, we've got lists online. You can filter out the do not call list. I use a calling program. It makes it a little bit easier and more efficient.
Yep.
So I'm not hand dialing numbers. And I basically picked up the phone and started calling. I was hesitant at first. I had the same kind of question marks as most people have when they think about that. It's like, this isn't going to work. This doesn't work. How can this work? It's such an old school technology, or not technology, but an old school method. There's no way. And after about 2 or 3 months of messing around, not really doing it, I needed business. And I said to myself, like, I am committing 100% to this process. And I know that I'm not going to call somebody today and I'm going to have their house for sale tomorrow, but it's a matter of talking to people, creating contacts, creating relationships, keeping them in the database, building them mind share, and bringing them along. So by the time that they're ready to do something in real estate, they're going to be thinking of me, whether it's them selling their house or buying, or their kids buying or selling, or they have to sell a house for one of their parents who's moving to an old, like whatever it is that has to do with real estate, they're going to think of me.
And did this thing start, I mean, when you started doing those calls, did it start converting right away or that took time?
It took time. It's, you call it a method of farming or whatever it is. You've got to start here and work gradually every day to get to the point. And it probably took about, I'd say 3 months before I started to see results. And after about 2 or 3 months, I'd been on a few listing appointments. I got the first listing and, you get a boost in confidence after that. And then you start to kind of continue to do it and it starts to roll slowly. And as you do it, what's so cool about it, as you do it, you get better at what you're doing because it's like in-field practice. So you get more comfortable, you get better at it, you get more confident, and in turn, your results start to get better.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about, that now, that process of evolution. So, you picked up the phone 7 years ago. What did you say to somebody on the phone at the time?
Hey, it's Jordan from Remax. When do you plan on moving?
Yeah. Nope. Click. So you pick it up and do it again.
Yep. And
nope, click.
I'd say it takes some time to get used to that rejection and that hang up, but you look at it from the mindset of it's a numbers game, right?
So what does the call look like now then, based on what it was? Like for anybody that is paying attention or listening to this after the fact, and they're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to try my hand at this thing. I'm going to go get a dialer. I'm going to sit there. This guy says I could get business out of it. I'm going to give her, and I'm going to try it out.
Yep.
What is the kind of approach? And maybe we get some trade secrets here that you don't want to let out of the bag, but I'm curious, what is the kind of approach that you're taking to, make that? Is it still the hi, it's Jordan from Remax? Do you want to sell your house?
Essentially, I mean, I've changed it and kind of I've modified what I've done and learned, and I listen and I see what I'm doing and critique and have other people listen to me and critique it and work on it. I now would call more along the lines with more of a purpose. Like I know you talk about a lot is calling with a purpose. So hey, I'm calling. It's Jordan from Remax. We just listed a house down the street. Or it's Jordan, we just sold the house down the street, or we have a buyer that's looking in the area, or, in the last 8 weeks, hey, I'm just calling through our neighborhood to make sure you have everything you need.
And it's interesting because I know when I asked you about this the other day, you said, and I asked you for how many you're doing. You said, I'm calling for 100 no's a day.
So
I chuckled at that. I was laughing. I think I even wrote back like LOL to you, but I was laughing. I was like, look at the positioning, the way this guy positions this. And I don't knock it. I love it. Like it's that thing of going, I'm prepared for the word no.
So if you look at, it kind of comes from, if you break down numbers, and it's not something I've calculated or created, it's, over the course of time, if you look at it, it's a numbers thing, and about 1 in 100 people will have some interest in real estate or be some sort of lead. So if 1 in 100 is going to get you some sort of lead, I want to get the result out of the work I'm putting in today.
Now, what do we do with the lead? We put them into a database?
Yes.
And just start to stay in touch with them like you mentioned before?
Yeah, depending on what the lead is. And, over the years, what I would consider a lead has changed and evolved and gotten better, I think, now than it was 7 or 8 years ago. 7 or 8 years ago, anybody that said, oh, I know what real estate is, was a lead. Now it's a little bit different in the so once they're a lead, they'll go into contact list. I send updates if it's in my geographic farm, an area that I focus, then they'll get stuff specific to the area, stuff that's listing and selling and what's happening in the specific neighborhood, which is where most of them are. If it's outside of that, general real estate information, the kids' newsletters and things like that, to keep in front of them, keep in touch with people, call again 3 or 4 times a year. And depending on how strong of a lead they are, there are other touches and things like that I'll do throughout the year as well.
Well, I want to ask about that because first, where does the majority of your biz come from? Like you're doing a lot of the prospecting. I want to get into some of the other cool things you do. Where does the majority come from, though? Is it the contact list, or is it like the total strangers?
I would say until about 2.5 or so years ago, 2.5 to 3 years ago, I'd say 70% came from cold calling.
Okay, cool. And now you've got a process to switch those people into your contact list, better process.
So now, because I've built up that side of the pipeline over the course of time, and now, I don't quite call as much and consistently as I did, which I should be, but, so now I would say it's shifted a little, which is, the goal in a way. So now it's more, I would say it's like a 60-40 contact list versus cold list.
Okay, cool. So you're still getting a good chunk, but you put in the effort for that, and let's get into that. So your phone list, and by the way, for everybody that's here that is a MindShare master, for everybody that is part of our MindShare 101 private group, check the link. The link is there for you guys to join the VIP room after we get off air with Jordan. So you can have your own private Q&A with him, ask him a whole bunch of questions. So I encourage you guys, join us in the Zoom. For those of you, where the link is, go grab it. It's in your email. It's on the in the group. Make sure you join us. But, Jordan, when you talk about the farm area or the cold call area, and I guess I just kind of said it, but is the cold call area a specific area that you're always going after? Is this like a new list every time? Like, oh, it didn't work over there, I'm going to go over here.
So I have an area that I farm regularly. So I call it, I knock it, I flyer it, I do a bunch of events throughout it. That's my pinpointed area. That's where I focus the most of my time.
Okay.
Outside of that, there's business that I'm doing outside of that area with, business coming from my people I know in the sphere. It takes you in different places. So if I've finished calling through my neighborhood and I'm done with the neighborhood for now, I will call around another listing that I have, or around a sold that we did, or around an area where I have people looking to buy to try and find stuff off market, or stuff like that. So I focus on an area, but once it's not a big enough area that it keeps me, it fills the time for the whole year or so. It usually takes a couple weeks to call through the neighborhood, and then I'll move on to call with a purpose through surrounding areas and stuff.
Interesting. And so tell me about some of the stuff you're doing to support the cold call. And I mean, I said it off the top, the ice cream truck. And I think it's awesome because it's one of those ideas that we talk about so often, go give out ice cream. And I mean, it's that old adage from like the movies of like, just being the nice guy that gives out ice cream.
Yeah.
But you guys do it. Like you're actually out there, you're renting the ice cream truck, you're decking it out with your all of your logos and stuff. And then you guys are literally going park to park, handing out ice cream.
You know what?
Tell us about, because I know it's not just rent a truck and do this. Like, can you break this down for us, how this works for anybody that might go, you know what? I'm going to do what this guy's doing. I'm going to go do this.
We started, I think we're like this year, hopefully we'll be able to do it.
Oh, true. Yeah.
It's probably, I think it's going to be our 7th or 8th year of doing it. I work with a small team. So, when we started it, we wanted a way to, reinforce, exactly like you said, reinforce our presence in the neighborhood, let people meet us and interact with us and see who we are. Like, we're real people. We're nice guys. We're not just, business, and that's it. We're friendly guys. We live in the neighborhood. We have kids who go to school in the neighborhood. Like, we're as a part of the community as everybody else. So we're like, what can we do to what kind of ideas can we do to make it fun? So we had the idea of the ice cream truck, and we did it on the Monday of Labor Day weekend. So the last day before school starts, which has been the day that we do it every year because everybody, for the most part, is back from vacation and camp and everything. Everybody is not looking forward to going back to school the next day. So a little surprise.
Here comes the nice guys with ice cream.
Is fun. And I'd say like the first year we did it, we didn't really know. We started at my partner's house and just kind of, we tried to put on Facebook and Instagram, we're going to go to this park, and then we're going to go to this park, and then we're going to go to this park, and just kind of hit some of the big parks in the neighborhood. And as it evolved and as the years went on, it was crazy to see the following grow and grow and grow, to a point where last year when we did it, we started at my partner's house, my business partner's house every year. That's where we start. And it probably took us, we do it for 3 hours, and it took us probably an hour and a half to get out of there.
Wow.
We had at least 200 or 250 people there.
Oh my God. Did you not run out of ice cream? Like,
it was madness.
At the house.
On the driveway.
Wow.
Like the street was pretty much blocked off. The driveway was packed. The neighbors were coming outside saying, what's going on? And it was just kids, bikes were coming in, people were walking in, cars were parked. It was absolute chaos in such a great way. It was so much fun. And it was the community coming together and everybody seeing each other and saying, oh yeah, we're going back to school tomorrow. How was the summer? No one's seen each other for 2 months. And it's such like a community feel that it was awesome.
Okay. So you schedule the day and you know what day you're doing it on. So the day is scheduled. You can tell me what day that is today. You just mentioned it, the Monday before Labor Day or after Labor Day. Then it's a matter of getting out there. You get the truck, but before you get the truck, we got to advertise this thing. So you're using social media channels.
We use social media channels. I send flyers out through the neighborhood.
Okay. So you are flyer. How many times are you sending a flyer? Just once?
For the ice cream truck, I usually do 2. I usually do like one at the beginning of August and one at the end of August.
Here's what we're doing here. And is it, we're going to be at this park at this time?
So on that, we just put the day and the times, and follow us on Facebook or Instagram to see where we are, because the time kind of changes. I've been looking for however long we've been doing this for a program that can map where we are and follow us live. So if someone's watching this and has something like that, please let me know.
That's cool. That's cool.
And then we pump it on social media. You know, we pay to promote it on social media so it gets out there and people see it. And at this point, I mean, people expect it. People say, "Oh, I'm looking forward to ice cream again this year. I can't wait for ice cream again this year." You know, in the last few weeks, I see people on the street and they're like, "Oh, hopefully we'll be able to do ice cream this year." So now it's just an expectation of, you know, people are excited for it.
Okay, so again, we've picked the date, we've flyered twice, we've promoted on social, we've encouraged people to follow us. It is now leading up to the day of. It's now a matter of getting the truck.
Yep.
So you can rent an ice cream truck from an ice cream guy, like
I book it. I have the same guy I've been using for however, like 7 years.
And he's the one actually driving the truck and doing the ice cream.
He's the guy driving and doing, like, he's one of they have 10 trucks or whatever.
Yeah.
So I usually book it right around this time of year just to make sure, because it's a busy weekend for them. And he comes, their guy drives the truck and does the ice cream. You know, sometimes we'll go in and do some ice cream just because it's fun and they don't mind. We have banners that we put around the sides of the truck, so it's got our branding and stuff. And I also have a wrapped Mini, so a wrapped Mini with our branding on it, that we stick some balloons on the mirrors and stuff, and then we follow the ice cream truck with the Mini, and when we get to the parts, we honk the horn and stuff to get people excited.
Very cool. And so people show up, and now, I mean, based on the buzz you've created, people just show up.
People know.
And now you're literally just sitting there. This guy's making ice cream, handing it out to people. And what are you guys doing? Just like smiling, shaking hands, kissing babies type thing?
Talking. Yeah. People are, I mean, there's usually a lineup. So people are standing there. We're talking to people. Okay.
And let's go back to that.
Yep.
I didn't know what to say on the phone call. What the hell do I say to somebody in the lineup at the ice cream? It's that awkward, like, so how's it going? You came to get some ice cream today. Like, obviously you guys doing this for a few years now, you've got it more polished. What are some of the things that are, and obviously the conversation will change from person to person, but what are some of the things you guys are going through there?
You know what? It's pretty simple, and we're kind of just being human with people, and we're just talking to people as if I was standing in line waiting for ice cream. How's it going? How was your summer? Where did you guys go? What did you guys do? Are you excited to go back to school? What grade are the kids in and stuff? And again, you know, in 9.5 out of 10 cases, it leads to talking about real estate in some way.
Now, but are you going, hi, by the way, my name's Jordan, and this is my my ice cream idea?
People
just know who you are?
Like, I wear a shirt that has my social media handle on it, has our logo on it. Everybody knows who I am.
So there's recognition to who you are.
For sure.
And then it's, do you ever get that moment where you feel like you've got to introduce yourself to somebody, or they get what's going on?
There are people that, like, when we show up at a park and we start walking through the park saying, hey, do you want free ice cream? There are some people who don't know what we do.
Right.
And they're like, who are these weird guys offering
ice cream to strangers? Yeah. Okay. But so where does it go from there then? So we've got, you know, we've created the buzz. We've built the MindShare. We're now out there. We're starting to do the ice cream thing. Like we've embarked on this initiative today. We're getting out there. We're doing it. People are coming. Do you sit there handing out business cards?
No.
Okay. So, I mean, okay. So, and I'm just going to play this, like, you know, devil's advocate, kind of like naysayer thing. I'm going, so wait, you want me to rent an ice cream truck? You want me to go do all this work? You want me to get out there and hand out ice cream? And what the hell am I getting out of this?
It's the way that I look at it and my take on it. There are people that will ask for cards and stuff like that, and I'll give cards. I mean, you know, absolutely. The majority of the people, and the reason that we're doing it, is to give back to the community and just be out there and be involved with the community and be with people.
That's it.
At this point, people know who we are. People know, you know, what we do and that kind of stuff. Yes, I could run around and give out flyers or this and that. And, you know, I think I do a skating event also. And one year at the skating event, we printed like little market update flyer kind of things.
Yeah.
And didn't hand them out, like we have a table with coffee and had them there and stuff. And I don't think anybody touched them. Because in my opinion, we're here to build a relationship with the people, not push business down their throats.
Right.
The goal from all of this is that the mind share is built there, that when they need something, they know that they're going to call us, or we're going to be, if someone's meeting with 2 agents or 3 agents, there's no way I'm not going to be one of them.
So it's not like each ice cream cone is wrapped with a business card, or you get some special napkins made or something like that to say, like, call
There are
us.
things that I've thought of, and doing balloons branded and all that stuff. So there are things that we think about. It's just, a matter of thinking about it early enough.
Well, okay, and there's that point, but I mean, for the experience that you guys and the success you've had from it, the reality is you're not doing a lot of that stuff. Instead, you're just out there literally on a good initiative, handing stuff out, giving stuff for free, making connections, building relationships with people.
Yeah.
And then, when we take that and kind of go, bookend this whole thing and say, how do we get these people in the funnel? Are you doing anything to get them in outside of this good, this good initiative? Or is it almost that assumption that, like you said, if they want in, they're going to put themselves in?
Yeah, that's the assumption. That's the kind of thought train at this point.
And it seems to work, though.
Yeah, my fear, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, is that if you start, you want some free ice cream, well, fill out this form,
Yeah.
write your name and your phone number and your email address, then it's not genuine anymore.
Yeah.
Then it's, these guys are giving me ice cream, but now I'm going to get spammed by all their stuff for the next year and a half. And that's not what I want to do.
And I think that's the big hesitation that we know that most people don't want to do, because I mean, I'm listening to the process you guys take of it. And I mean, you're planning today, like kind of, I mean, you already again know, but we're talking May, you're talking event is in September. There is some pre-planning that goes on here.
Yeah.
And for all the time involved and the effort put into it, to sit back and go, I mean, we get business out of it. Could I tell you exactly who? No. But this is part of your efforts to build your brand in this particular community. I mean, you're doing cold calling. Now you're doing the community events. You're starting to build that mind share within the minds of those people in that area.
Right.
And that turns into opportunities for business.
Yeah.
Now you're not doing, I know that you are, you got a great social media presence. You're consistent, you post, you use the multiple channels, you're doing all the things that, I mean, at least I'd like to say we've talked about for a long time.
Yep.
And I don't want to sit there and go, taking credit for that stuff. I'm more saying, like, you're doing all the stuff that's there. You're doing the stuff you're supposed to be doing. So from a social media perspective, and the organic part of your game is like really on point. You did mention running some ads for the ice cream, but are you running ads on a regular basis? Are you doing that whole online lead generation funnel thing?
I don't do online lead generation like to the point where, we have ads that go out to put your information in and, like we get 10 leads a day or anything like that. I don't do that. I do, for events like this, I do promoting of posts. When I have listings, we do promoting of posts because we want to get the word out and spread that. I do, sometimes if there's an idea or a thought, like I'll push out a landing page or idea or something to get some traction if it's something that I think is cool. Like there's something I'm working on now with cottage rentals because I think that's a huge thing this week now that camp is canceled and stuff. So something I'm working on with that I'll push out and I'll bump and I'll boost and stuff, but nothing like on a formal campaign of generating online leads.
You're more about getting out there and actually connecting with people to generate those, to build the funnel.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. You see, that's what I meant for everybody listening. That's what I mean right off the top when I say doing the actual work, right? I believe personally, I mean, look, everything can work if done properly. And if you put in the right effort and the right planning and the right consistency and, you've got the budget for it, it's key, right? All these pieces come into play to say this thing can work. But I also believe from an online lead generation perspective, especially in this real estate business, which we know is a relationship business, it's a know you like, you trust your business. You're not selling ice cream or pizzas or TVs or cars. This is somebody's house.
Right.
To be able to earn that deal, it's not coming because you just had some online ad. It's coming through the little ways to say, I know you. I know who you are. I feel comfortable with you. I could invite you into my home. You could sit at my table and talk to me and my wife and advise us. That's where it comes from, is the relationships. And that's the stuff that I think is huge that you're doing. So, now you look and say, okay, farm area, we're doing cold calling, we're doing flyering, we are doing the community awareness. You also just started a Facebook group at the beginning of COVID for local shop owners.
I did.
And I've been saying to people now for the past 9 weeks, pick up the phone and call the shop owner, say hi. These are the people that are not being called or spoken to or connected with. These are the ones that are the small businesses, just like the rest of us, that are struggling right now. They're the ones, just like us, that need some help. So pick up the phone, call. But you've actually taken it to a different level than just a phone call. Tell us about this.
So the first week or two, I kept seeing, I had the same problem in my house that everybody had, is they don't want to go to the grocery store because the lineup is 3 hours long and there's 85,000 people trying to get into Costco. Where am I going to get groceries? Where am I going to get food? Where am I going to get all of this stuff to get from, this grocery delivery they're booking into April, and this grocery there's things were crazy in that first couple of weeks. And I looked at it and I kept seeing people on Facebook saying, oh, anyone know where I could get this? Or anybody know if X is open? And I went to a Home Hardware to pick up, I don't even remember what I was picking up, like paper towel or something. And there was a lineup down the street and a massive sign outside, like 8 feet or 10 feet wide, that said, we are open for curbside pickup, and whatever it said. I don't even remember what the message was exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how interesting would it be if people that weren't just standing in line or driving by this knew that they were open? And then I started thinking, like, how many of these small businesses are trying to do it? My wife is involved in a small business too, and they're seeing the struggles of all of this. And I'm like, how can we, try to support small businesses so that, I have my favorite restaurants and stores that I went to before this that I'm hoping will still be there after. So how can we all try to help support them while still being able to get all the stuff that we want and need? So I said, let's try it. I'll start a group. I looked around, there wasn't really anything. And I said, let's try it and see what happens, right? I got time on my hands and, let's give it a shot. And I remember I started on like a Wednesday morning at like 8 o'clock. I started the page, and by noon I had like 500 members.
Wow.
It was.
And so what did you do to promote that? How did you get that message out there to people?
I invited everybody on my contact list to begin with. So everybody in my Facebook, I just said like invite to group, because everyone that I have for the most part is in the neighborhood or, in the network somehow.
So you went to your friends list on your Facebook account.
Yep.
And sent out an invite and basically said, do you want to join this group?
Yeah. Okay. And I said right at the beginning, this is a group, if you're a local business owner, share that you're open. If you've seen that a store is open, share that you know that they're open, because it's going to help everybody. And that was it. And, now I think as of right now, we're just over 1,500 members.
Oh, wow.
Which is nuts.
Yeah.
And then I started doing, I thought, wouldn't it be fun? Like I said, I've got some time on my head, real estate, the transactions have slowed down so much that it's not the crazy pace that it was. So I'm like, well, why don't I do this? I'm going to start to do quick Zoom interviews like this with people that own businesses, so they can kind of create a connection with their customers, tell people who's open, what they're offering, how they're offering it, specials or whatever it is, and just make it a little bit more valuable for the businesses. And I've done now probably 40 or 50 of those. And it's awesome. It's kind of like my new job.
Well, you're a conduit of information for these people, though.
Well, yeah. And now I'm building great relationships with the members of the group, all of the business owners that I'm talking to, everybody in the community. And, I'm having fun doing it.
Well, and now when we come back to the 7 ways to communicate, you're getting out there in person with people. You're using flyers to market to the neighborhood. You're calling the neighborhood. You're doing social media to the neighborhood. Now you're including video and actual, in person, in today's world, Zoom, in person get-togethers, if you want to call it that way. So you're really leveraging all the different channels to get out there and actually communicate with people and build the mindshare in your community.
Yeah. Well, I think now, especially the in-person stuff isn't as possible right now. So we've got to adapt like all the business owners have. They've adapted to how they're delivering food and all that stuff. This is how we're adapting to offering our food to people or our product or service to people.
Okay, so now here's a loaded question, maybe
Uh-oh.
kind of sort of, but how do we know when it's the right time to take somebody who we met in the lineup at the ice cream truck, we spoke to on the phone, we conversed with in the Facebook group that we started for shop owners. How do we know when it's the right time to kind of take this person and move them into, and I don't know if there's ever a perfect right answer to this, but how do you know? What's your gut tell you when it's the right time to convert this person and move them into the database? Like, this is my list.
That's a good question.
Is it just
Um,
gut? I mean, I would say from like sales 101, MindShare 101, I say sales 101, it's like it's gut instinct. I don't think that there's an exact science to it. I'm just wondering where it comes from on your end, or maybe it's the same answer.
I think you've got to feel it. You've got to feel like there's a connection where, I want to keep in touch with you, and you can, we can help each other out. You'll benefit from whatever I can offer you if I have information and things like that. And, in turn, it'll be a two-way kind of relationship. But yeah, I think it's gut. I think, barring someone calling you and saying, hey, I want to sell my house or buy a house, or hey, go call my sister, they need to sell their house. Um, it's gut and how you feel. And I think, I've had it in the past, and I'm sure most people have it, where you put somebody on today, and then in 6 months you look back and say, maybe I, they don't really need to be here anymore. When I call them, you can tell they push the button and don't answer for you, and they don't reply to you, whatever it is, right? You say, okay, maybe they're not on that A list. They need to, come down.
Right, right. Okay. And so again, you're working through person by person.
Yeah.
But when we again come back to the funnel, right? And I mean, for the folks listening to this after the fact, you can't see my hands right now, but everybody watching, it's that funnel starts wide open and starts to narrow down. And from the narrow part, the narrow starts to go like we're going into the database, right? So from a top level of a funnel, again, in today's world, most people are thinking online lead generation through their website. I got to have a website that generates leads. And I said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll continue to repeat it a million times. Websites do not generate leads. Your website captures a lead. You are the one that generates the leads. You generate leads by making calls, by connecting with people, by doing ice cream giveaways in the ice cream truck, by connecting with shop owners. Like, that's where you generate, by putting the URL on your website and your business card and your social media posts and your emails and your direct mails and everything else you do. That's how you generate the lead, is that you're out there doing good in the community, and then people are seeing it and they're wanting to connect further. And now hopefully they tap into something, right?
Yeah.
Now, when we spoke the other day, you also mentioned, you know, you're trying to improve the CTA, the call to action, the funnel process, and I'll tell you, man, like, I think that is an ever evolving project.
Yeah.
We're always constantly figuring out like how to reinvent the mousetrap a little bit, how to make it better, how to make it a better trap. Um, what have you learned maybe from some of those, that the mass stuff you're doing, the top of funnel stuff you're doing? Have you got any tricks of the trade that say, here's how we're going to get them in? Or again, back to what I asked you a few minutes ago, it's just more of a gut instinct around who. Does that make sense?
I think in a way it's a gut about who, and it even from the, the mass level of, like, let's say the cold calling level, there are conversations you have with people where you'll never want to speak to them again.
Yeah.
And there are conversations you have with people where they're not planning to move and they're staying where they are for 25 years and whatever it is. But maybe I want to keep in touch with them because, there's an opportunity here to help them or help someone they know with something. And maybe I will take them out and bring them farther down the funnel. So I think it is a gut check. When I'm doing cold calling, a lot of it is, off of intuition at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
You ask people if they want to sell their house, and we're all programmed to automatically say no. But there could be a guy who's meeting with an agent tonight who says no automatically, but that there's something going on behind the scenes, right? So you have to have that kind of gut instinct and intuition in. And I think that's the key thing. Is it's a human business. It's a personal business that you've got to be able to speak and be able to read the situation and the people, to be able to see where there might be someone who you can help, and these people, they can't help. right? And you're not going to be able to help everybody.
And there's a big aspect of consistency in what you're doing in terms of like consistent execution of I'm going to plan it, I am going to execute, I am going to do it for the goodness of doing it. And in turn, that's where the reciprocity starts to happen, where you start to see some, some fruits of the labor.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So now you got people into the database, which again, we're starting to see that your business as you progress is starting to go from, purely strangers into 60% being more of your database. And I mean, knowing you and what you're up to, you're going to continue to do these things you've been doing for so long. And again, the top of funnel stuff you're doing is stuff that most people won't take the time and effort and even money to do. But I would say that that's going to cost you a hell of a lot less money, produce a lot bigger results when you're doing it the way you're doing it, rather than just spending it on online advertising.
Yeah, I think my whole point of view on online ads, and I've looked, every once in a while I see something and it comes back in my head and I'm like, oh, well, maybe I should do this and maybe I should add this and maybe I should look at it closer and all that. And it comes back to the same thing, is that with, at least in what I see and hear and believe, is that the amount of money that you spend to get a good lead, I can spend less time and find better leads.
There you go. And
so
that's,
to me, it's
there's
worth
the quality. Yeah. Sorry,
it's worth that than trying to just push money at this and sit back and cross my fingers. I'd rather put in a little bit of work and know what I'm going to get.
There you go. Right. So now you've taken them and you brought this up a minute ago, and I wanted to ask you about this. You bring these people in. You've said that you're using the KITS newsletters. You said that you're making your phone calls. I know, and I encourage everybody to follow Jordan online. I know that you're doing a kick-ass job with your social media organically, not spending anything. You're just really putting in the time and the effort to do it. You're also doing the client events. And this is another one of those where people are hesitant. It's like, oh, I don't know if they're going to show up. I don't know what's going to happen. Speaking of showing up, by the way, for, again, everybody who's a MindShare Master that's in the MindShare 101 Facebook group, make sure you guys find that link in the group or in your email and join us in the VIP room. As soon as we wrap, we're going to do a private Q&A with Jordan. So, again, find that link and join us. But, Jordan, you've got the skating. Tell us about that part with the client event. Is it very similar to the ice cream thing? It's just inviting a different group of people. What is the, again, is there a call to action? What is the gameplay on that part of it? Because again, that's money, that's time, that's planning.
Yeah, skating kind of spawned from the ice cream, as it's kind of a, we have something we do.
They both involve ice.
Sorry?
They both involve ice.
Right, exactly. There you go. We have a thing for ice. It was a seasonal thing, and I thought, well, we do something in the summertime. And February is a great time to be in contact with people. We start talking to people about spring market in February. So it's a great time to get back and connect with people. And I like to skate. I play hockey. My kids, I want to get to skating. So, we thought, let's give it a try. In our neighborhood, we have an outdoor skating rink. So we rent an outdoor skating rink for an hour or two. Funny enough, the first year we did it was the one day in February, if you remember, like 3 or 4 years ago, and it was like 25 degrees out.
Yeah, man, I do remember this actually.
So we sat in the parking lot with like 4 vats of coffee, hoping somebody would drive by and want to drink coffee with us because we couldn't skate.
Yeah.
But since then, it's been, again, we see the progression every year, more and more people. We've got a couple of great, kind of business connections we deal with that come and sponsor that event with us a little bit.
You've also brought out, I don't remember his name.
Duke.
Marley's.
So we brought Duke the dog, who's the Marley's mascot. He came a couple times. We had Carlton the bear. We sponsor school fun fairs in the area. So I brought Carlton the bear to one of the school fun fairs for kids to take pictures and stuff with. And I think the whole mentality and thought train behind it is just to be out and interact with people and have fun with people and build the relationships with people in a kind of easy, comfortable atmosphere.
It's awesome, man. And it goes a long way. I mean, it's evident watching, the growth. And again, a friend of mine, so I've watched you grow in the industry over the years. I mean, and it's really awesome to see it. But I mean, again, as I started this thing off, what gets me about it, and I say this in a very good way, but what gets me about it is the fact that you really are doing these things. You're putting in the time and the effort to, kind of, you have the nerve in a good way to, plan the event and then put it together and have people come out and then do it again, and that's the client event, the ice cream event, mustering up the energy and the discipline it takes to make all those cold calls and hear the word no, 100 times in a day. I mean, that can be draining and tiring on somebody's mind, but you stick it out. And, we fast forward 7, 8, 9 years later, whatever it is. And I mean, buddy, like, you're kicking ass, man. You're earning awards. I don't know what you're making for a living, but you're making a good living. Like, things are well and it's optically from afar, it's evident, we can see that you're having success.
I appreciate that. And it's doing the little things every day. And look, I could sit here and we could talk for another hour on the challenges that I have every day and that, the hurdles that I feel I need to get over and overcome and do this. But I think what I did, and I said when I started with the cold calling, like I said, after that first 3 months, is I'm doing it and I'm committing to the process 100%, right? And I'm going to see this through. And I know that if I do what I know I have to do, it's going to pay off and it's going to work because there's no other option. So just have to stick it through and continue what I know is going to work.
And you're consistent about it. And the one thing we also know is, again, most people aren't doing most of this stuff, but we also know you aren't most people.
Half of it I do because I enjoy doing it, right? Even, picking up the phone and calling, it can be draining and tedious, but there's something in it that I enjoy. It's, you got to pull the bright pieces out of the dark cloud sometime, right? So you gotta find the little bit that keeps you going. It's like the same thing in this COVID period, right? We're stuck at home. There's uncertainty. It's a crazy time in the world, but we can all look at it and say, there's certain things you can take out of it, right? There's, time you spend with your kids right now that you never thought you would ever be able to do.
It's amazing.
So there's a bright spot in everything. So you kind of have to pull that out.
Buddy, it's amazing to watch how an hour flies so quickly. But I mean, overall, I love the fact that you're using a cross-channel approach to stay in touch with your sphere. I love the fact that you continue to funnel new opportunities into your list. And just, again, you're always evolving, recognizing the need to leverage technology, but still maintaining, it's kind of like, again, that leverage of the new school, but still maintaining that old school approach with that tried, tested, true, mandate, I guess you could call it, of actually connecting with people and building relationships. So just before we wrap up here, you have any last words that you want to share with anybody?
If so, I think, like I kind of just said, and what I've learned and realized over time, and I'm still learning it, is to believe in what you're doing and see it through. I think even for myself, a lot of the time I'll know what I need to do, and then I'll see some bright, shiny object pop up on the computer, or a new ad on Instagram say, oh, you should try this. It'll get you 17 deals in 20 minutes for only $2. Forget about all the stuff. The things that are going to produce and are going to deliver. It's a matter of just believing in it and believing in yourself and seeing yourself going down that path and getting it. And I mean, even with you, when I did that, I think I did the first MindShare 101, group, however many years ago it was.
The challenge, yeah.
And even still, that 10-year plan is basically what this is based off of. It's what I am taking people from here, and they're working through that 10-year plan, right? That's what this is. So it's a matter of having the strategy and the tools and the system in place and just letting it work. And, don't question it. I question myself sometimes, don't question it. Just let it work, do what you got to do, and be consistent. And I think it doesn't happen overnight, but in the long run, you look back and you say, holy smokes, it's only been that long, and this is what I've accomplished.
Love it. It doesn't happen overnight. Jordan, where can people find you if anyone wants to connect?
You can find me Facebook and Instagram. It's both at Jordan Glaser. You can go. I have YouTube. I try to keep some good YouTube videos and some good content there. You can go with JordanGlaserYouTube.com. Yeah, on all the social channels there, or email me, jglaser@remax.net.
Perfect, buddy. Last question before we go. What made you smile today?
What made me smile today? I'll tell you what made me smile. I posted a new video in the Facebook group that I posted, the What's Up North York group. And this is something that's been weighing on me a little bit. And I did a fun video. I've been doing videos with business owners, and I did one with myself. So I have me on this screen, and where you are is me.
Oh, come on.
Asking myself questions about real estate. And I had so much fun shooting it and editing it. I was like laughing the whole time. My son was standing next to me watching it, like on the floor cracking up. It was fun. I'm trying to have fun with it. And,
I got to see that, buddy. I got to see how you pulled that off. That must be cool.
I did it this morning, and I had a blast. My wife came in partially. She's like, what is this? And it was hilarious.
Oh, that's funny, bro. You're going to have to share that to me. I got to see that.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely.
That's amazing. George, thank you, man. I appreciate you taking the time to join me today. This is certainly long overdue. I got massive respect for what you're up to out there. And I say that to you, not only as a friend, but as a business partner. It is awesome, man. Awesome to see. And I'm really, really pumped for all the success you're having and are going to continue to have. So, thank you for bringing that to the MindShare podcast today, and appreciate your time again.
And thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I mean, we talk a lot. It's always good to talk, in this forum, and to you as well, the stuff that you're doing, the content you're putting out. I watch it and read it every day, and it's, even the littlest thing sometimes can just give you that little spark. So keep up with the good work and what you're doing too, because it's definitely helpful. I'll speak for myself and probably most people that follow you. It's awesome. So good to talk with you and to grow with each other, right?
You bet, man. Thank you very much, George.
Thanks, Dave.
You're either listening to this on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or Spotify. Or maybe you downloaded our free Industry Syndicate podcast app. Or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. And while you're on my site, make sure to download your free copy of the 7 Ways to Communicate ebook to help you build more mindshare so that you can get more market share. And if you want to be part of our private MindShare community, where we meet twice a month live to share ideas, tips, tricks, and to motivate each other, just click on the group coaching option for a very low cost of only $19 a month. Wherever you like to consume your content, please rate, review, and subscribe. And if you haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at MindShare101 and on Instagram at DavidGreenspan101. This has been another episode of the MindShare podcast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.